This is some anti-Italian discrimination right here.
It's anti-Italian discrimination.
But where's old Saul hiding out?
Maybe his office. Or taking a dump, fuck you very much.
Christopher, behind you.
What the fuck?
The Sopranos was a hell of a show. I love it for its gritty realism that just shows how much damage the mob can do to a community. But it also touches on so much more with commentary on violence in society, family life, or rather dysfunctional family life, a sense of wanting more in life, and of course, depression. There's a lot of depression. From 1999 to 2007, HBO's flagship show was The Sopranos. Now yes, in between that time there was a lot of other shows by HBO that were remembered in various ways, but not like The Sopranos. The amount of memes I see for the show on a daily basis, thanks to my friend group, proves that we're all fucking weird, and that The Sopranos was a cultural touchstone. Now with all shows that become huge, they gotta cash in somehow. Video games being no exception. You got your Breaking Bad mobile games, CSI, the board game. Apparently they're making a Golden Girls RPG right now? Look this up, this is real. How the fuck do you do that?
So it's not surprising to see that The Sopranos came on this train. So, as a fan of the show and having this weird obsession with licensed games, let's take you on this journey. A very weird, definitely dated, and extremely cringy world that is The Sopranos on the PS2.
The Sopranos: Road to Respect was released in November of 2006, a few months after the first half of Season 6 came out. Why was the final season split into 2 parts? I never really understood that. I mean, we got more episodes out of it, but never mind. The game was developed by 7 studios, which, it looks like they made a bunch of licensed games for the 6th generation of consoles and the PS2 remake of Defender? I'm not sure where this is gonna go, but let's just see what happens. As a way to market it, HBO made a short documentary that can still be found on YouTube showing the making of the game, primarily focusing on the fact that they got the original cast of the show to reprise their roles in the game, but not really showing much gameplay. That's not really a good sign. But it's always nice to see Tony Sirico.
Well, this game's going down in history.
I can keep beating you up all night.
So, where do I begin with this? Starting the game in the main menu, we get a very disappointed Tony Soprano. Almost looks like he's mad at you for even playing this game. Starting the game up, we see this guy stealing a purse out of a car, and he's stopped by... Oh god, Tony, what did they do to you? I've seen better looking CGI in the PS1. What the fuck, guys? This introduces us to the main character of the game. Nope, not Tony. This guy. His name is Joey LaRocca, the bastard son of Big Pussy Bompancero, which if anyone's seen the show, then you know what happened to Pussy. Back on topic here. So after the failed robbery, Tony, feeling somewhat bad for the kid, tells him that he can get some work. And then we immediately cut to the Bing, and Joey looks nothing like he did in the cutscene. We're off to a great start here, guys. So with the first instance of actually playing the game, it puts you into quite possibly one of the worst ever tutorial sequences I have ever seen. If you guys thought Skyward Sword's opening was bad, no. This game makes you beat this sorry fuck up on the side of the building by making you use the controls that they want you to use. Instead of just easing you into the controls, they're forcing you to do this. It almost makes it feel like a QuickTime event rather than a tutorial. But this is only the tutorial. Surely the rest of the gameplay won't be as bad, right? After beating this guy up, Joey goes into the Bada Bing and whoa, Jesus Christ, okay. I'm not entirely surprised to see this. I mean, the show itself had a lot of nudity, but the PS2 rarely did, so this just looks awkward. These horrible animations on these characters just makes everything feel kind of gross. I don't know. Oh, and if you're offended by a game showing this, then wait till you see the rest of the female cast in the game's story. Speaking of which, the rest of the game's plot revolves around Joey doing errands for the main mom members of the show. I know that's weird to say primarily as a summary of the game, but just hear me out here. Towards the beginning of the game, Joey's asking everyone what kind of sandwiches they want, which turns into Joey being told to beat up this guy, and Joey kills him by accident.
Maran, you killed him.
You stupid shit.
You dump the body at the docks area in Jersey with your friend who... I honestly forgot his name. He's kind of fucking stupid though, because he steals this dead guy's watch, which we will go back to later. This leads into them going into a casino to kill some time when your dipshit friend gets distracted and goes into this bachelor party, causing some trouble there. So you go and save your friend's ass from getting killed, and then we cut to the next day where you're forced to help Christopher because... reasons? Maybe he wants to start a band with him or something. Christopher doesn't really like Joey, as you can no doubt tell, so this is just a way to boss Joey around, I guess?
This is bullshit, Chris. He's a captain.
So am I. What are you gonna do, tell the principal?
They head to the gym doing a collection that unfortunately goes horribly wrong. You beat up these people and that's about it. Why is there a samurai sword at this gym? Is this like a karate studio meeting a gym kind of I don't fucking know, man. And what's going on here, guys?
That's a ladies' locker room, pervert.
After that nonsense, Joey is told to kill his friend because he stole the dead guy's watch and they need somebody to fall back on the death. You just saved this fool and now you want me to kill him? The guy Joey killed happened to be a relative of this new mob guy named Angelo. He's never shown in the show, so don't try and look him up. He recently got out of jail and he's already up to no good, wanting to cause some trouble and make some money in the neighborhood. So you're off to kill your friend. That's nice. I barely knew your name. After that trauma, you help Anthony Jr. Yes, he's in this game, at this club that he's running, which goes wrong and leads to one of Anthony's friends getting fucking stabbed right in front of him. But he seems more concerned by the fact that the Jamaican mob, which he was running the party with, stole his car that his dad paid for.
He took the fucking car. What do I tell my dad?
Priorities, my guy. Your friend just got fucking killed right in front of you. This ends up being a wild goose chase, getting this stupid ass car back, going to a garage and beating everybody up to get it back. Later in the day, Joey goes into this law office because he needs to make a collection and find out what's going on with Angelo. Unsurprisingly, he's dealing drugs in the area, which Tony told him not to do earlier in the game. Angelo's men happen to be there at that exact time, that's convenient, which leads into another fight where Joey ends up throwing one of his men out of the window, which looks fucking goofy. Oh, and AJ gets his car stolen again. This has to be a running gag now.
How many times is this gonna happen?
We cut back to the main crew where we tell Tony about Angelo's drug dealing, and AJ ends up telling his dad about his car situation. Tony figures out that one of Angelo's crew stole his car, so you're ordered to burn down a porn studio that Angelo runs. So you burn down the place with Vito out of all people, which is really weird. Almost like you're just inserting this character into the plot to give him something to do. But I mean, Vito does like firemen, so that, you know, might have something to do with this. So they burn down the place, and Joey ends up seeing his girlfriend who's in the burning building. She's previously shown, but really just has no bearing onto the plot until now, so Joey runs back into the building to save his girl. We then cut to Artie's restaurant, where Joey gets a phone call from AJ. The Jamaicans want to kill him, so we go and save him, but AJ still gets hurt. I think the Jamaicans are also working with Angelo now, which is why this is happening. I don't know. After helping AJ, we then cut to a hospital where, aside from seeing him, we also see a very pissed off Tony. To make it up to him for getting his son hurt, you get sidetracked with this doctor who owes you money because... I honestly don't remember. I've looked through all of the gameplay and I can't find a good reason for this. That leads to you shaking this doctor down, and instead of him giving you money, he gives you prescription drugs to sell, which, I mean, we just burnt down a place because of selling drugs, so that just seems a little hypocritical, guys. So you go downstairs into this pharmacy area where Joey gets jumped by this doctor who stabs him with a needle and he gets high? This is fucking weird. After a dream sequence where he beats up 3 of the doctors and then Christopher kills him in broad daylight, Joey wakes up and goes back to his normal day. Almost like this entire sequence was pointless. Joey does find out that the guy you threw out of the window is not only staying at the hospital, but he's about to get out soon. With that news, Joey finds him and finishes the job with the guy. After that, Angelo, wanting retaliation for all the shit that's been happening in the game, brings back Tony's car in shambles and also beats up Joey's girlfriend? Where did they find her? It seems like this character is only here to spark conflict in the story. So Joey, understandably pissed, goes back into the docks where he beats all of Angelo's minions, and then you kill him. Nice knowing you, dude. You'll be forgotten once I'm done making this video. We cut back to Set's Realities where the main crew is proud of you for what you've done in the game, and then you get made. And that's it?
Wow, this plot is fucking awful. Like, it jumps from place to place for no real reason outside of forcing the player to continue with the game.
I do like how the plot similarly follows the show into where there's multiple plot threads that coincide with each other, but at the same time, There's not much plot here to begin with outside the busy work, the conflict with Angelo, and AJ trying to get his car back. And since we're only focusing on the mob part of The Sopranos, it takes a huge part of what made The Sopranos great in the first place, Tony's relationship with his family. His actual family, not the mob. You know what I mean. By not having Carmela, Meadow, Uncle Junior, or even Melfi in the game, it takes out the humanization and relatability that The Sopranos has. Joey himself doesn't really have much of a character outside of wanting to make a better name for himself, and considering his dad was a rat, which everybody knows what happens to a rat. We actually do see Pussy, or at least a ghost of him, and he ends up talking to Joey, giving him his thoughts on what's happening in the game. He's disappointed at his son all the way up until where he's proud of him when he's about to get made into the mob. That was a quick change of heart, I guess. Yeah, this didn't really add much to the gameplay. It's basically fan service to see Pussy one more time. Unfortunately, this game does little in the way of introducing new people to The Sopranos, relying on people who have already seen the show without introducing who's who in the characters, which isn't really a problem for me, but definitely someone who doesn't know who Polly Walnuts is.
Fuck you and this bullshit. That's what this is, you know. Satanic black magic. Sick shit.
Alright, I didn't know where to put this in the script, so I'm just gonna say it right now. This game is incredibly sexist.
The very first girl Joey ends up talking to, he stares at her breast. It's almost like every female character Joey says he wants to fuck. It doesn't help that all the female character models look like something out of a 13-year-old's room. I mean, imagine you're a kid and somehow playing this game and your parents walk into your room and see this. That would be an interesting conversation. It's a shame that this game treats its female cast like this, since its source material has great, deep, and fucking devious female characters. So this comes off as extremely cringy, dated, and just not fun to go through. At the very least, the plot is presented decently. Aside from the main mob cast reprising their roles in the game, this game has a surprising amount of voice acting. Almost every character you walk up to has something to say. It's not always something interesting or performed decently, but the effort was there to make this place seem more lively.
I should register these guns with the ATF.
You should get a fucking life.
Joey himself is voiced by actor Christian Malin, who does a pretty good job in his performance. Just the dialogue written for him can sometimes come off as just bad.
Can I help you?
You're helping me already, gorgeous.
You're embarrassing yourself.
I'm only being honest.
Same thing goes with the graphics. Sometimes they look decent and other times they look below average for the PS2. But there is a decent amount of places that Joey goes to, including some staples of the show like the Bada Bing, Artie's Restaurant, and of course Satriali's, which looks like they put the most amount of effort into making these areas. Too bad there's not much to do and you're barely in these areas. But now let's talk about the gameplay. What's the gameplay like? You may have noticed in the plot summary we're going from place to place. You may think this game is an open world game, similar to a lot of games popularized by Grand Theft Auto at the time. Nope! This game is primarily a beat 'em up, and a bad one at that. You jump from level to level beating up people, and in between that time you jump from the Bada Bing, Satriali's, and Artie's. This doesn't really add much to the game outside of explaining some of the plot and having some more fan service in the game. Remember when the tutorial handhelds you through the fighting? Well, there's a reason for that. When the proverbial condom that is the tutorial is off and you're left to your own devices, the actual fighting in the game is a mess. You can only fight in certain areas, and most of the time you're just going to be spamming the X button, with occasionally grabbing some people and pushing them into walls, or grabbing items and bashing them in their heads, which is probably the most effective thing to do. There's combos like the sneaky rat bastard and the asshole tax, stupid shit like that doesn't really make much of a difference when the monotony kicks in. You occasionally have finishing moves, and the one I always triggered for some reason is Joey grabbing guys' balls, which is an interesting way to take someone down, I guess. The fighting gets worse when there are multiple enemies coming by. Joey does not have invincibility frames, meaning when he gets hit or stunned, enemies can just gang up on you and beat the shit out of you until you die. That's fair, there's absolutely nothing wrong with what you're seeing here. Joey also locks onto the nearest enemy when you're beating them up, which could be helpful, but in reality it's difficult to move when you're locked onto an enemy. And when you're in a tight corner, when there are multiple enemies who are beating the crap out of you, the best thing you can do is run away and spread the enemies out. Every so often when someone is beating up Joey, they can push him onto the ground, which is just annoying. You can either spam punches or get right back up, which is what I recommend to do.
The fighting in this game is fucking horrible. It has no redeemable qualities, which sucks because that's the main gameplay here.
But there is one other thing you can do to defend yourself. Use a gun! You can shoot people, but if you kill enough people, that just leads to this. Okay, so shooting is limited for a handful of reasons. The shooting is terrible to begin with, like, I'd rather use early GTA shooting over this, and even that has some problems. You can barely aim with it, and most people are bullet sponges. I'm guessing the other reason why shooting is limited is because the game would be extremely easy if you could just go up and shoot everybody, so they had to penalize you somehow. The visual cue for this is above your health bar. If you have 3 stars, then you get the cutscene. The only time where it seems acceptable to shoot people without penalty is when they're shooting you. This might have to do with the respect meter as well, so in between beating the shit out of people, every so often you have the option to speak to people. You can either be nice, neutral, or be an asshole. Now this isn't super deep, but it may affect your respect meter that's shown in the pause menu, but the actual decisions don't really matter too much. The part where you have to choose to kill your friend is a good example of this. If you don't kill him and instead let him go, he gets killed anyway, so why give me the choice to begin with? It's the illusion of choice to make Joey more of an interesting character, but it fails to do that in the end, so it's pretty much pointless.
You know, I'm probably not the first one to say this, but this game is a ginormous Yakuza ripoff.
Now I know it's a weird comparison, but hear me out here. Both of these games are, in a sense, beat-em-ups, with the exception that Yakuza's gameplay is actually worth a damn. The only difference is that Yakuza uses a semi-open world to tell the game's story, where in Road to Respect it just jumps from place to place. Honestly, if they just used the same kind of open world template that a lot of games are doing at the time, or even something similar to what Yakuza was doing, this game would have been a lot better, maybe even something halfway decent. But given the team that was making it, I'm not quite sure. But it would have not been the mess that this game is. And overall, that's what it is. This game is a mess.
It's like watching The Sopranos, but you're only focusing on the mob.
And specifically skipping any scenes that revolve around Tony's family, and especially the Melfi scenes. It's a quick cash grab for a franchise that was hugely popular at the time, and although they did put some effort into the presentation and voice acting, it doesn't make up for the fact that this game is licensed crap. Crap that smells as bad as menthol gabagoo. With a ridiculous amount of sexism to boot, that makes this game just feel very uncomfortable. Play the Yakuza games instead if you want a mob-related beat-em-up.
Well, that was a piece of shit. So, there's only one thing I can do with this game that seems like the most acceptable thing to do with it. Now, if you excuse me, I have to go eat my meal.
Finally, I can eat. This shit is cold.